So today, you guys, I am talking to Carol Lucarelli, who is one of the fabulous people that works at Omron. And if you have never heard of Omron, then I'm worried because Omron is one of the largest manufacturers of blood pressure monitors. And as we all know, we do need to check our blood pressures regularly, which we will discuss that today with Carol. But Carol, we have clearly, I mean, we're not even through yet, but we're in the middle of a pandemic or towards the end, maybe, or I don't know.
Who knows?
But how did Omron do last year in responding to the pandemic? Because as we both know, it was really brought to the forefront how important our blood pressures really are to our health.
Definitely. Well, Dr. Renee, thanks for having me, and it's such a pleasure to work with you again. And I will tell you, the pandemic was like two ends of a situation for us. Everything, like the rest of the world, shut down, and then we kind of regained our composition and moved forward. And we were so glad that we did, because of exactly what you just said, that hypertension, high blood pressure, other forms of heart disease were identified as, one of the underlying factors that would cause people to have a more severe reaction to the COVID virus. So it was really important for us at Omron to regroup as an organization, really double down on the communication that we were putting out to physicians, and taking input from the American Heart Association, the CDC, and really getting that information out to people, not just physicians, but to people, all around the U.S. that we're able to impact. And the other interesting thing is our mission, and I know I've shared this with you in the past, is going for zero, and that's really eliminating heart attack and stroke. And because hypertension was considered this comorbidity, it was even more important for us to make sure that we were sharing information around the country with doctors, with their patients, and really, we understand the impact that COVID and hypertension before it, and now this double whammy, has had in Black and Brown communities. And so we really took it as we took it to heart, pardon the pun, that we really needed to get information out there. So anything that we were able to do to share blood pressure monitors with underserved communities, making sure that we had our supply chain issues taken care of, and we got product out to the stores so that people could access the equipment. It was all really important for us, and I think it really highlighted something I'm excited to talk to you about, which is Vital Sight. It's really been this progression of our mission of eliminating heart attacks and strokes with Going for Zero that helped us put more emphasis on giving physicians ways to better communicate with their patients.
Yes, and we'll talk about Vital Sight a little bit more
You
later.
bet.
But can we remind people, why is it so important to monitor your blood pressure?
Well, it's amazing. If you take the information from the American Heart Association, there's 116 million US adults with high blood pressure, which is about 50% of the adult population in the country, right? And we know that there's 37 million of those people that have uncontrolled stage 2 hypertension. And there's about 13 million people in that mix that don't even know they have high blood pressure. The only way for you to really know that you've got high blood pressure is to stay in touch with your numbers. And that's such an important thing, because as the CDC tells us, about 80% of cardiovascular events, heart attacks and strokes, can be prevented if you take your blood pressure on a regular basis. And that does not mean going once to the doctor every year, right? Because that is one point in time. As you know, as a physician, you know this, you're looking at trends over time. What has my blood pressure been doing? A lot of people don't even understand that their blood pressure changes all the time, sitting up, standing down, talking with their hands like I do a lot. So knowing your numbers is really very, very important. And the best way to start doing that is by establishing a good habit. The same way that, Deciding to eat healthy, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Deciding to take your blood pressure every day doesn't happen overnight. It takes a good 90 days. Like a lot of research tells us it takes 90 days to establish good habits. And is everybody going to be perfect in this? No, not at all. Taking your medication every day when you get a new medication prescribed to you, taking it as prescribed is another one of those things. You got to form that habit. And so in doing that, it's going to help you understand your own blood pressure. It's going to allow you to have a better conversation with your doctor. And a lot of people who might have been engaging in telehealth or just avoiding the doctor's office over the last 18 months or so, it is so important for you to stay in touch with your own numbers, because it's going to help you see when your risk might be changing. If your numbers start changing and you can't explain why, then it's time to talk to your doctor and maybe prevent that event.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's so I actually did a campaign with you guys for Going for Zero, and I did take my blood pressure every day for 90 days. And your app makes it very simple, because the app will
Thank you.
notify you and remind you to take your blood pressure.
Absolutely.
And also, the other great thing about the app, as she also mentioned, is that you have these trends, but you don't have to even write the stuff down. The app will have all the information for you. And the app will come in very handy when you go to the doctor and they say, well, what have your blood pressure's been? You don't even have to bring pen and paper. You can pull out your phone, which I'm sure you didn't leave home without. Pull out your phone, show them, and they'll have all the information they need. And I think a lot of people don't realize white coat hypertension is a thing. So when you walk into the doctor and they take your blood pressure, sometimes you have a higher blood pressure because of the white coat that you're seeing, and it's only because of that. Your blood pressure is probably normal every other day of your life. But if you don't take your blood pressure regularly, then the doctor only knows what they see, and they have to go off of what they see. So this is why it's so important. And this is why Omron is so great, because you can get blood pressure monitors from the pharmacy, some grocery stores, Amazon. I mean, you can easily get these blood pressure monitors. They have, the most fanciest ones down to the most simplest basic ones. So you can make sure that you get what you need. I even have a wrist one. So it's really small and convenient. You can take it with you to travel. Exactly. And then of course, yes, we have Heart Guide too, which we're going to talk about that today too. But you guys have to understand how important it is to know your numbers. Blood pressure is if you don't have a heart and brain are two things we just really can't do much without. So you got to have your heart. And I think people don't realize high blood pressure can affect the brain. So therefore, we got to make sure that we have those two things. If nothing else, you got to have that.